So, based on the book, what are the hydrometeorological hazards?
The book mentioned a lot. The author mentioned a lot of them, and to name them, we have lightning, we have hailstorms, tornadoes, strong rain, strong winds. They're very common in America. Uh, we have floods. We have wind shears, desertification, sandstorms, which I do experience them since I'm in Abu Dhabi. Though they're not as extreme, but they're still sandstorms anyways, and there are also heat waves.
Personally, what you have experienced so far from all of those things that you have mentioned?
Heat waves, heat waves. I remember back in 2023, 22. We were out on a field trip, and at the time it was summer. Oh no, it wasn't summer. It technically it was summer. It wasn't on our summer break yet because they haven't adjusted the timelines and schedules. So it was summer, and we were experiencing a lot of heat wave. It was like probably the hottest temperature the Philippines has gone, and I almost fainted at that time.
So, what did you do?
Well, of course, we had to go back inside, like into the place. I forgot what it's called. We just had to go back inside, indoors for shelter, and of course, get ourselves hydrated, because genuinely it was very hot.
So, after this course, how would you prepare now for heat wave?
Uh, Genuinely stay indoors, stay in shades. But in Abu Dhabi, it doesn't matter if you're in shades or not because the wind is the problem. The sun is one thing, but the wind is also very hot. So what you'd want to do is stay indoors, and since like almost all of the buildings have ACs, you can definitely use AC. And hydration is very key to all of them.
Since Philippines is very a tropical country and it has a lot of tropical cyclones and typhoons, I know you haven't had experience yet flooding because we are living near in the mountains, so it's very high in Santo Tomas. But can you tell me like how would you prepare for flood and what did you do to prepare based on your understanding as well and with being aware with all of that?
It's very simple. First of all, uh, be updated in the news. One of the most important things to become updated on the news. You have to know the specific categories of these storms because it could be mild. You could just like maybe sleep away and you wouldn't be much in harm as long as you're maybe indoors. But there are times that there are categories which the floods are so extreme that the house could actually go down and it would sweep off your feet and it could be very fatal. So knowing knowing the news, very important in keeping updated. Secondly, you have to be prepared with having a go bag, which it would contain uh, essentials like food, water, canned goods, your phone, power banks, and maybe even a first aid kit because someone in your family member or someone that you love might get hurt during these events because they can be unpredictable. And then lastly, what I would want to add is if you can't evacuate and you know the certain evacuation places, evacuate. It's not easy for everyone, but if you are in a category where it could be devastating and dangerous, go as quick as possible and try and get out of the place immediately. It is for your own safety and for the safety of your family.
So what you technically did to get out of that place?
Uh, After everything was on fire, the fire alarm was ringing. So all of us stood calm, we went to the fire exit down the stairs. We were living at fifth floor, and after the firemen were called, we told them that we lived on the fifth floor, the exact room. And before we could go get our stuff, we consulted them about what happened. Is it okay for us to get our stuff, and etc. And they advised us to wait for 30 minutes because the smell was still there, and of course it was still there after, and it actually took a long while, so we had to move before we could actually get back to the room.
So technically, you evacuated and
Yes, we
you
did.
didn't stay on that.
We did evacuate.
Okay. All right. So there are what we call geological
Mm.
hazard, and what was in the book, and like how can you prepare for it?
There are a lot of geological hazards that they did, which are like landslides and earthquakes and such. Which landslides, I haven't particularly experienced them, but most of the time they happen on mountains. So what would happen is if you haven't experienced a landslide, basically, um, maybe for after rains or earthquakes or particular like unstable uh, mountains or hills that would have these dirt and a lot of rocks, maybe even trees containing them. It depends on how big the landslide would be. Would be just as the name expected, would slide down. And there are roads out there which has signs that it might be prone to landslides. So if it's raining or it has a earthquake, you have to stop immediately from where you're going or to avoid those areas at all costs because they are dangerous. It will swipe you off your feet no matter what.